All right, we're gonna test out this new arm thing, see how it works. Ready? Here we go. Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Stuff I Heard podcast. This is your host, Joshua Peak. Hello. If you're watching the YouTube version of this on my YouTube page, it's under Joshua Peak, or it's got a weird code name, DHSWPEA. I don't know why. I started with that years ago. You can see my new articulating arm that I've got the microphone hooked to. I'm working on a couple of things here. You know, doing this podcast, like, I knew nothing about how to get started. I mean, nothing. When I started out, I didn't even have a microphone. All I had was my phone. I had heard LeeAnn Kreischer talk about this app called Anchor, and I thought, hey, I can give that a shot. I downloaded the app on my phone, I hit record, and I started talking. And before I knew it, I had my first episode. If you go back and listen to the beginning ones, those are literally recorded with my phone, with me holding my phone and going, rah, 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 just holding my phone. Okay. The problem that I had was when I was doing that, if anybody called me, I would lose everything I'd recorded. For some reason, there's like a weird thing in the app where I don't know if it was a development thing or if it was just something nobody thought of. Is if you get a phone call, what happens to the recording that you've already done? In my case, it turns out that the recording you've already done is lost. And that's just it. There's just no going back. I've lost many episodes. Many episodes. Some of it good, some of it bad. Some of it with some friends where I really wish the stuff was still there because it was gold. I recorded an excellent episode with my buddy Greg, and we got a phone call right in the middle of it, and we lost it. And I was like, no, because it was legendary. I mean, it was really, we were firing all pistons. It was fun. It was whimsical. It was deep and thoughtful and everything that you could ask for, and it was just gone. And I was like, I gotta figure something out. I gotta do something different. Now, I have looked into a couple of different options. I've looked into recording things in GarageBand and moving it over. The thing I don't like about recording it in GarageBand and moving it over is that when you do that, there is a compression sequence that's sometimes difficult for me to do. I don't exactly know why, but like, one thing doesn't want to talk to the other thing, and if it does, it has to compress it, which takes a long time. When I record it in Anchor, right now I literally have my screen open onto the Anchor website, and all I have to do is log in, pick up a transition, that's the opening thing that you heard that sounded really ominous, that boom, and then I'm recording now, just by hitting the word record and selecting my microphone and talking into it. When I'm done, I hit the little button that says transition, and I put something at the end, which I hear a lot of people say they really like the cow mooing. I put that at the end today. We'll see how you like it. Or the goat one that does that. Bah. Anyway, I put that at the end. I hit save episode. Now when I save it, it automatically starts to publish it. All I have to do is name it. Pretty simple, right? I mean, there's not much to that. Now, of course, the video component of this on YouTube is a little more complicated because I'm recording on a camera, and I'm limited by the number of minutes that I can record on a camera. Anytime you're using equipment, you also have to worry about sound levels as well as, you know, battery duration and that kind of stuff. All this is real techie stuff that a lot of people don't care about. But I don't know. I'm just kind of sharing it because I figure somebody out there is probably listening to this going, but yeah, but how do I get started? How do I do this? And I'll be honest, I don't know. I can tell you what I've done, and I can tell you that there's a lot of helpful things on YouTube. Matter of fact, I've spent most of the morning watching YouTube videos on how to do this kind of stuff at the next level. See, here's one of the things I'm considering. I've got this new arm thing, which is cool, because like I can literally kick back in my chair and move you guys closer to me. And on camera, it looks like I'm laying back in my chair, and it's all relaxed. And yeah, this is cool, man. And what if I had like an actual, you know, Bert Kreischer / Joe Rogan type studio thing where I had multiple things like this? What if I were able to run cables throughout the room and maybe have somebody sit on a chair over there and we're having this conversation relaxed and just kind of being ourselves? What if I didn't do it in this room? What if I actually dedicated one of these spare bedrooms into like a podcast studio? I could do that. There's nothing saying I can't. One of the things I've learned is that I need to make this mobile at times. I need to be able to record where people are. So part of this is being able to just unhook this, take it with the little microphone stand to somebody and say, all right, let's do one. that's part of it. Now, I can go ahead and purchase a nicer microphone. That may be my next step. I'm actually looking online now at reviews on different microphones. And I don't know, I'm kind of curious. Does anybody else out there have experience with microphones? And if you do, what would you use? What would be your suggestion? There's a company out there called Blue, and they make something called a Yeti mic. And I don't think they're in any way affiliated to the people who make the Yeti coolers. I think it's just a coincidence of the name. But if anybody out there is using a Blue Yeti mic and you have experience with it, let me know what you think. They do have controls on them where you can access the gain levels and change them, and you can select like directional stuff so that if you're doing a conversation in front of it, it can be pointed at you and it cuts out the noise in the background. It has something on there where you can do an interview where it only records from here and here, and it sort of shuts out sound from the other sides. It has something called omnidirectional, so that if you're in a room and you put the microphone in the middle of you, it'll pick up everybody in the room, which is kind of cool. I mean, let's face it, there's uses for all of that. One of the things that would be different is if I had that microphone, I would have to change out what holds this microphone in my articulating arm, because the Blue Yeti mic is bigger. It's quite sizably bigger. I mean, it's this here is probably the one I'm using now. This is a CAD mic, C-A-D. It is a USB connection mic. It's probably 2 inches in diameter, and I would wager that the Blue Yeti mic is probably 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. It's a bit bigger, I guess, because it's got more components in it, more things that need to be moving, and it has a condenser mic built into it. So that's something to think about. This is me thinking about it. Riveting, isn't it? I would like to talk a little bit about some stuff that I heard, because hey, this is the Stuff I Heard podcast, right? So stuff I heard. I had the opportunity this week to be on the road and to listen to a few podcasts. One of which I've actually talked about before. I think in the previous episode I was talking about how I was going to listen to it. Well, I did. I listened to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, episode 1209, recorded on November 30th, with Anthony Cumia from the O&A show. It was a fun listen. He talked about a lot of the same things I listened to him talk about on Bert Kreischer's podcast, the Bertcast. A lot of the same stories. But also, Anthony Cumia was sort of the inspiration, the O&A people were the inspiration for Joe to start his own podcast. Anthony Cumia was kind of a techie guy, and when they were still on the radio, he started up his own podcast, basically, on his property. I think he called it Compound Media or Live from the Compound. And he had just bought equipment and was trying stuff out and going, hey, I wonder if this works. I wonder if that works. Let's try this. Let's put in some blue screens. Let's have some video behind me. He had the idea of, what if you got your news from somebody who was just doing it from their house? And what if that guy just happened to have a few drinks and maybe walked around with a machine gun? And, what if you got like a weird, casual, impersonal version of the news where somebody just read you the news while they were hanging out? And I guess in a way that's sort of what Joe's podcast has turned into, because Joe interviews people, but he does it in his own little studio, and he smokes weed and has drinks and hangs out with his buddies, and he's got a big giant studio where he has workout equipment and a virtual archery range and all kinds of cool stuff. I hear people talk about it. In a way, that's sort of what I'm doing right now. I've got this in my house. I'm telling you about things I heard. It's sort of like bro knowledge. Like, bro, you know what they say, bro? It's stuff I heard. I'm not accurate. There's a lot of things that I'm not accurate on. I'll tell you what I've heard, but it may not be exactly what's going on. And believe me, I know that I'm not right all the time. That's okay. People send me information all the time, especially my wife or my mom, and they go, hey, you got that wrong, right? Thank you. I love you, and I appreciate your input, and I do listen to you, but at the same time, get your own podcast. I'm joking, of course, but I'm not. If you get your own podcast, I will be happy to have you on here to talk about it. Wouldn't that be weird, my wife having her own podcast? I've been trying to get her to be a guest on my show to talk about podcasts that she listens to, because she is a big Disney file. She loves listening to Disney podcasts. And there are times where she's like, you got to listen to this, and she'll set it up for me to listen to. And it's really awesome, the information that I get, but also I like seeing her excited about it. You know, it's something about, it's sort of the reason that I like listening to Joe, is because when Joe Rogan interviews people, he's excited about having his guests on. Even if it's somebody he doesn't know, he figures, hey, I'm learning something. I can hang out with you and learn something. But he'll geek out about it, and he'll have a very interesting interview because he's curious and he has questions. You know, when Bert interviewed Anthony Cumia on his podcast, he talked about listening to Mark Maron. Mark Maron has a podcast called WTF, which stands for What the Fuck. For those of you who don't know, Mark Maron does a thing where the first 20 minutes or so he has a monologue, and then he goes, all right, so I did this interview with so-and-so, and let's talk about it. And then he goes into an interview. And in the interview, he asks questions, and I don't know, one of the things that kind of irks me about his podcast is when he asks people questions, a weird way that he gets people to talk about stuff. He says, so you did this. What's that about? That's his go-to. What's that about? What's that about? I don't know if they've pre-talked about what they're going to talk about, and that's his sort of, okay, here's your intro to talk about this thing now. But it sort of works. If you ever listen to WTF, he has a way of getting people to talk, kind of like Barbara Walters used to, or Howard Stern does. He gets people comfortable and they want to share their story. If you've never checked out WTF, please check it out. It's worth looking for interviews of people that you're curious about. He even did a podcast once with Obama when he was president. That's pretty cool. So yeah, go check that out. I also listened to Joe Rogan's interview 1212 on December 5th with David Goggins. And I told you about this guy being motivating. He is motivating. I listened to this podcast and I was like, yeah! I wanted to go after it, man. I wanted to get up and go for a run, even though I was driving. It did not disappoint. I was entertained. I was learning stuff. I found out that he has an audiobook that I want to download, as well as a hard copy book that I wouldn't mind having or giving away as presents. Good stuff. Good stuff. David Goggins is the man. I also had an opportunity to listen to LeeAnn Kreischer's episode, Fathers Part 3, with Sam, where she had talked the week before with Sam and Lance. Lance is her dad, Sam's dad, and they talked about drug abuse and what it was like growing up in a household like that. And the conversation was mostly steered by Lance telling about what was going on. And LeeAnn realized that she didn't have much of an opportunity to ask Sam about what was going on. So this is more of an interview with just Sam, where Sam gets to talk. It is an interview with just Sam, where Sam gets to talk about stuff that happened to her and how it affected her, and the fact that she loves her dad, and her dad got clean basically because she had a son, and she told him, she said, you're not going to have anything to do with this kid's life unless you're clean and sober. And Lance has been clean for over 10 years now. And he says he still tells that young boy, he says, you're the reason I got cleaned up. You're the reason I'm sober. It's a good interview. It's good information. I also recently listened to Second Chance Church podcast with Perry Noble. He did a episode this past Sunday called Why Won't They Change? And he talks about how, in the past he's looked at sermons ahead of time and had a plan, sometimes several weeks ahead of time, sometimes it's several months ahead of time. And he said literally he got the idea for this podcast while he was recording the last one. He's like, I was in the middle of the last one and I thought, ooh, I know what I'm going to talk about next week. He was inspired. So immediately he started thinking about this episode, and he was like, I know what to talk about, we're going to do this. And it's great. It's one of those that once you listen to it, you go, wow, I want to share this with a lot of people. So sure enough, I've sent the link, my wife has sent the link. It's one of those that she and I both listen to independently. At times we listen to it together, but there are times where we listen to it independently and we're both like, wow, have you heard that? Holy cow, that was good. It's really, 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 really good. So that's it for my podcast that I've listened to. I have watched a few things on Netflix. Things that I've been kind of surprised about. I guess on the BBC channel, they had a thing for a while with this Sherlock Holmes series. I didn't watch it when it was on TV, but now it's on Netflix, and every episode is like an hour and a half long. It's like watching a little movie, and each episode is an hour and a half. So, like, the first season's only 3 episodes, but you can't, I mean, unless you're just one of those people that can sit down and watch TV that long, you can't just sit down and watch all of them. It'd be hard to binge watch that many hours of television. But an hour and a half, and you're like, wow, that was really good. I can't wait to watch the next one tomorrow or the next day. You know what I mean? It's one of those deals. Each story is independent, but it sort of rolls into the next. And they did a great job. It's just, it's phenomenal writing, phenomenal acting. I'm enjoying the crap out of it. I'll just be honest with you. I am on the second season. The second season's only 3 episodes. I think the third season's like 6 episodes. And then the fourth season, I don't even know how long the fourth season is. But anyway, I'm watching that. I'm really enjoying that. There is a series on Netflix called Sabrina. And it's sort of based on, from what I understand, it's based on comics. Back in the Archie and Jughead days, Sabrina was a comic that, you know, was around the same time period where she was supposedly a teenage witch. She had a cat named Salem, who was her buddy, and this show is done sort of like Riverdale was done. Riverdale is, I think, on the WB or whatever that channel is now. That I don't know who the owner is. I think maybe Disney owns it now. I don't know who owns that. Anyway, it comes on regular television, and if you wait for a while, it'll come on Netflix. Right now, there's 2 seasons worth on Netflix of Riverdale. The third season's getting ready to come out soon because it's already been on TV for a while and it's already off the air. So, this Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing, there was a show years ago on, I think it was on Nickelodeon, where, you know, it was sort of campy, and it was, you know, a girl living with her 2 aunts, and she had a talking cat that would talk to her. The cat always had some wisecrack jokes to say and stuff like that. And it was done as like a fun sitcom thing. Well, Netflix took this and went, no, let's make it a bit darker. Let's make it a bit edgier. Let's make it a lot edgier. And they did. They made it a lot edgier. There's parts of it that are pretty gory, and parts of it that are legitimately scary. But they've sort of stayed with the idea of, no, we're going to make her a witch, and the town is not going to be happy about it, and she's going to have friends that are going to know about it at some point, and she's going to have to decide between either being a witch or being a human. And we're going to make her half and half, and that way she's sort of torn between 2 worlds. And, you know, the writing is very good. I was surprised. The first episode I wasn't quite sold on. I watched the first episode and I was like, I don't know, can I get into this? And then I watched the second episode and I was like, this is pretty good. By the 3rd and 4th episode, I was like, oh, this is getting good now. I mean, you have to get past the whole, you know, the fact that they're witches and supposedly they serve the devil and that kind of stuff. And you know, she doesn't want to do that. She wants to be a witch. She likes the fact of having these powers and being able to help people. But at the same time, you know, she's dealing in this storyline that the background of the story is that they're giving in to what they call the Dark Lord, and they have, you know, accepted the fact that this is what their fate is and that they're going to do this. The interesting part of the writing is the fact that, you know, they talk about the devil as the character and the fact that he's the father of lies, and, you know, they have agreements, and at times the agreement is broken, and you know, it's sort of, I would say that for people who are going to say that they're going to protest this being a show and the fact that it's against the church and all this other stuff, I would say that that's incorrect. I would say that if anything, it supports the church, and it sort of reinforces the fact that, you know, if religion is your jam and you look at this show as a purely objectional standpoint, at no time do they glorify the idea that if you follow along in witchcraft or if you join into this cult type thing, that it's a good thing. It's made for entertainment. It's made to just be fantastical. And why? Why would that be a thing? Why would anybody care if it's a thing or not? you know, it's sort of like a superhero movie. Are you supposed to believe that Iron Man and the Hulk are real? Or are you just supposed to buy into the fact that this neat fiction exists and it sort of reflects something to do with life? And from that, you're just supposed to kind of decompress from your day and not think about your day and just enjoy this thing that people have put on, this production, this movie, this show, whatever it is. You know, everyday life can at times be very taxing. It can weigh on you. And I think that's why certain shows appeal to people, because they don't have to think about anything. They can just watch this thing and sort of escape from their reality for a little bit and enjoy not having to deal with issues of the day. Just think about this weird storyline and just go into a fantasy world of, oh look, you know, Spider-Man's gonna swing from the thing and kick that other dude in the face, haha. I don't think at any point anybody stops for a minute and goes, you know, I bet Spider-Man's real. No, nobody does. But it's neat to think about. Oh, look, isn't that cool? If you were Spider-Man, you'd climb up a building and swing from this, you know, string to this string and save the day and have the Spidey sense. Ooh, something's going to happen. Yeah, that's fun. Well, I mean, the same's true with this Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Okay? This is sort of a fantasy story of, you know, what if witches were real, and what if they served a dark lord, and what if, you know, this whole good versus evil thing is more than it's more than just this TV show. It's more of, you know, what are some of the things that you face in your real life? Are there times where you sort of, I don't know, you blur the lines of the things that you say are the most important to you because you want to help the people closest to you? Well, yeah, probably. And I mean, it's a campy show. It's made to be over the top. It's made to be silly at a certain time. And it's made to be one of those things that sort of distracts you and gets you away from thinking about your life. But what isn't? I mean, if you watch The Big Bang Theory, and there's times where they talk about where they work and where they live, is anybody going to those locations and going, wait, where's Sheldon? I don't see Sheldon anywhere. No. No. It's something you turn on just to enjoy. Or like watching Friends. A bunch of friends who somehow seem to make it in New York, barely working and hanging out and drinking coffee every day at all hours of the day. They can't afford that. Not if they're real. But are you going to go downtown and try and find Central Perk and sit on that famous couch? That doesn't exist. No. Hopefully not. Otherwise you're going to be wasting your time in New York when you could be doing a lot of other fun things. I mean, there's a lot of interesting Broadway plays to see. There's lots of, you know, cool places to eat. I mean, if you're going to go stop and see a celebrity anywhere, you can always go to 368 and see if you bump into Casey Neistat and be like, Casey, hey! Because he'll probably stop and take a selfie with you. And that's a real person. So, you know, there you go. I would like to talk a little bit about the fact that I've been doing a lot of cooking on my Grilla grills. I got this Grilla grill, pellet grill, smoker thing. It's called the Silverback. And it looks like a Trigger. I mean, it looks like, you know, if I say the word Trigger to a lot of people who grill, they'll go, oh, I know what a Trigger is. It's just a pellet smoker. It has an electric auger that turns these little wood pellets into a smoker box, and it slow smokes your food. This past weekend, I cooked how heavy was that? I think it was a 5-pound, 6-pound standing prime rib. I cooked one of those last Christmas and it turned out really fantastic, but I cooked it in the oven. I kind of wanted to have some of that smoked flavor, so this time I was able to cook it on this pellet grill because I got one this year, and it turned out fantastic. Part of the process, though, is I ended up ruining my Bluetooth iGrill thermometer. I had this thermometer that you could plug in and access through your phone, and it would like beep at you to tell you when it's within range. You could monitor your progress along the way to see if you got like hot spikes, or if it was like something was going wrong. You'd see the temperature go down. And I've been using that thing for years. Well, it rained all day when I was cooking this thing, and it ruined it. temperature thing got wet where the battery is, and it got in the components, and it's no good anymore. So I had to purchase sort of a replacement. My buddy Greg lives down in Albany, Georgia, and he had told me he had bought a more expensive version that runs on Wi-Fi. The iGrill that I had runs on Bluetooth. Well, Bluetooth only lasts for a certain range, and then once you're outside of that range, you just lose signal. And then it has to reconnect every time you come back within signal range. The Wi-Fi one hooks up to the Wi-Fi in your house, and you could go to the store and still see what your temperature is. Like if you had some errands to run, or if you had stuff to do, you could go off and do your thing, and just keep an eye on what's going on at the house. And you're going to slow smoke it, so if there's any issues, you can come back to the house at any time and get it taken care of. So I think something like that may be what I purchase next, but to kind of get me through this time period of deciding on which one to buy, I decided to get a just another Bluetooth one that had kind of a longer range. Anyway, it's supposed to be in the mail today. Fingers crossed. I say fingers crossed because currently I am cooking a 22-pound beef brisket. I'm getting carried away with this stuff. This coming Saturday, we're having Christmas at my mom's, and my brother and his wife and kids are coming, and my stepbrother and his wife and kids are coming, and so we're all going to be at my mom's house with this giant piece of meat, and you know, we're gonna have some food. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing them and their kids and hanging out, and you know, it's fun to see the kids grow, and one of our sons and his girl and their kids are going to be there. So, you know, it's going to be fun to hang out with family and to share that time together. And I didn't have time to cook this on that Saturday, so I'm cooking it today. I'm going to cook it on Wednesday. I'm going to pack it up in the fridge, and then come Saturday I'm going to heat it back up. By then all the juices and all the fun flavors are going to have time to mix and mingle and soak inside of it. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it. That's all that's going on with me. I'm digging this microphone arm thing. I know if you're listening to this, you're like, but we can't see it, Josh. I know, I get it. I'm sorry. I'm digging this microphone arm thing though. It's pretty convenient. And I like the fact that I've been able to sit back in my chair and move it around. It kind of makes me wonder if I should get another one and figure out some way to hook two mics up. The thing is, like, if I have two mics, it kind of makes me think, okay, well, this microphone only has one plug-in for one USB port. If I have two microphones, how am I going to do that? I'm going to have some kind of soundboard thing that is powered, obviously, that you plug two microphones into, and then it somehow moves into your computer. Then it gets complicated. Then I got to learn stuff. I got to learn how to do that, and I got to learn what microphones to have, what cables to have, what kind of soundboard do I need. Do I need one with 2 inlets or 4 inlets? I mean, if you're going to get one with 2, should you just go ahead and get the one that needs 4 just in case you decide to expand that much? I mean, yeah, right? What do you think? Hit me up. Let me know. Talk to me. I know somebody out there is into this kind of crap, and you're going to like tell me, you know, hey, this is what you need to do right here, buddy. Let me know. Write to me. Call me. Send me a message on Instagram or on this YouTube page or on the whatever. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to grow. You know, that's what it's all about. Growth. Not like a growth on your face or your foot or something like that, but, you know, internal growth or spiritual growth or professional growth, whatever you want to call it. So, anywho, y'all take care. Thanks for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Yeah. Until next time.